Yeah, I'm sorry if things lag a little bit because, as you can see, I am in the middle of the woods because this is where I like to come to really come up with my ideas. And honestly, I'm kind of excited that I get to be out here for my first live stream. And if you read the title, yes, I am going to try to get through the rest of the chapters of Wolf of the Tunnel today, just because that's the only way my lazy butt can do it. So, yeah. Well, we're gonna make our way back to my writing and reading spot, and yeah, hopefully I don't like twist an ankle or anything, because actually, wait, no, it's only been like 2 days since I've been back here, so I say this like I don't know this place, but I do. So, yeah, in case you don't remember, last time what happened was just Matsuda meeting Jewel and all of that crazy crap starting to happen. I remember, if any of you remember, I tried to record the next few chapters, but you couldn't hear the sound really, so that didn't quite happen. And so, yeah, I really hope that I can get through all of it today. That'll be the following 18 chapters and the epilogue. And yeah, in case you couldn't see the thumbnail, yeah, I basically just kind of got on Google, found something that fit. But that's just for the simple fact that I don't really have a regular cover artist because I am not a professional author. I just write stories that I think are cool. But anyway, yeah, other new projects, I mean, I've discussed, with a friend of mine, trying to come up with a new concept for video games soon. And also, I have a few ideas in the work for projects, and also you can expect more AMVs to come out because I had a lot of fun making the one, but it was a lot of work. So yeah, I'll try again. So, yep, this is my writing clearing, and yeah, we are going to set up shop right, I don't know quite where to set this, but sorry, I had to reconnect there for a minute. Whole one finds her first. I yell, but all I hear are resounding echoes. All I'm in fear when I run into a small figure. Both of us fall to the ground as I hear the familiar don't have any and watch as she falls. She breathes heavily and sobs a little bit as I help her to her feet and walk her over to an embankment by the wall to give her a piece of my mind. What were you thinking? Who just runs off when their only chance turn? You could have gotten yourself killed, ripped, tortured, or worse. If you were in my, just trust the first guy that came and saved your life after almost dropping you in a lake of crap, and after you were just in a glass coffin because of something that wasn't your fault. No, shouldn't even have happened. And gave me some food and a weapon. I could have survived if I wanted to. And I don't sit around with any partner, so how are you still alive, Mr. Lone Wolf? However, after some breath, she breaks down over and sobbing. And she says clicks into I reach my but she still rocks back and forth with her head in her hands. It isn't until a few seconds later that I hear heavy, sloshing footsteps and whispers, and I automatically assume the worst. Savages. After catching her breath, she darts up, looks me fiercely in the eye, and continues her little rant. Furthermore, before she can say anything more, I clap my hand over her mouth. She reaches up to pry at my fingers, but I hold on firmly. We can't risk being heard. Get your hands off me! She whines in a muffled voice. I respond with a simple shh and draw my gun. Jewel eventually succeeds at removing my hand. What was that about? She asks in a disgruntled voice. There are other prisoners nearby. If we want to survive, we can't let them know we're here. I notice as she begins to pull on my sleeve a little bit, but I shrug it off as something minor. All we have to do is hunker down and wait until they leave and make sure they don't sense that we're afraid. Okay. Okay. If anybody couldn't tell, okay, I'm gonna restart for the simple fact that I don't know if my my media was turned all the way up. Never mind. So stupid. I hate to interrupt the flow of the story like that. All we have to do is hunker down and make sure they don't sense that we're afraid. Matsuda! I look over at Jewel, her face ghostly pale. She's trembling as she points to the other wall of the tunnel. I glance over to where she's pointing and my heart sinks into my stomach. Staring at us from across the tunnel is a squatted down woman. It's hard to tell in the dim light, but she seems to have brown, ratty, long hair. Her eyes had a startlingly fierce gleam to them, and her wicked-looking grin was missing a canine. Don't move, I whisper slowly to Jewel. She lets out a sound from her throat in agreement. Suddenly, the wild woman raises her head to the ceiling and lets out a guttural scream that chills every bone in my body. Sounding more like a dying wolf's last howl than a sound from a human. However, the dark pit in my stomach only grows. Sorry, windy out here. At least 20 other savages emerge from the shadows. Discreetly, I pass my backup radio module to Jewel and reset my personal radio's connection to axes, swords, knives, torches, spike gloves, and slingshots loaded with glass. The villainous look in each and every one of their eyes shows that they intend to walk away with our blood on their hands. Run. Keep running. Up in any sort of trouble, press green. Try to stick comes to work. Let's go. And so we ran. I look back. Was Miss Beef. She pulled miles. I shake off the growing feeling of dread and backtrack a little bit. I look at every inch of space in the surrounding tunnel to make sure she isn't there. I venture for a short ways down every fork in the path and examine every footprint made in the mud. However, my search ends without success. Matsuda! Matsuda, help! They're after me! I whip my head in the direction of the familiar voice and look down at the ground. An entire slew of footprints is heading to my left and leading down a long hallway. I lift my head just long enough to see a large gap in the floor that has been filled up with water, and I see Jewel dive into it and swim like hell over to where I'm standing. Unfortunately, the entire crowd of savages shows up a single moment after she makes contact with the water. Even worse, many of them take a few seconds and then begin to edge into the water or make their way along the walls. I look up in fright as a savage with suction-cupped boots and the thundering footsteps behind us begin to die down. As I lay out my jacket and extra clothes as a blanket in the clearing we managed to find, I pass a package of crackers. We're too late to go to a camp and find some dinner, so this should tide you over. Despite my offer, she shakes her head and continues to lay on her back and stare upwards. I bring my hand back and unwrap the crackers for myself. Who? Oh, what were those things? Asks me in a shaky voice. Those were the savages. They're technically just their hostile environment and lack say in human beings and revert to their primal instincts. They usually form tribes and try to abduct young hopefuls. You know. Oh, she says quietly and then nods. You should try to get some sleep, I order gently. You've had a long day and we need to trek to camp. I turn myself away and walk over to watch. I don't know why I'm even down here. I nod around and startled by the fact that this was the first solid sentence that Jewel has spoken to me since we first met. She pauses a moment before starting again. I didn't do anything wrong. Because of something that my friend did, they forced me to become a peacemaker. They assigned me to a highly rebellious area, and one of the protesters refused to listen. She climbed a chandelier and began to swing around and threw diamonds that she had ripped off at everybody else. In self-defense, my guards shot her many times. I tried to explain to the queen, but... I stare at the young girl, shocked yet understanding. She didn't mean for the events that brought her here to occur. I can completely relate. Matsuda? What is it, Jewel? I want you to promise me that you'll reunite me with my sister. Her name is Jen. She's She trails off, still shaken by her last outburst. I almost jump out of my skin the next morning when I see the savage woman that had chased us the day before crouched at my feet, grinning at me. "Good morning, you bloody jerk," the savage says to me in a coarse voice. Now that I'm closer, I see that she's about in her 40s. Just great. She's someone who actually deserves to be down here. I yank my gun out, load it as quickly as I can, and point it directly at her. Instead of jumping back, she just calmly puts her hands up. "Whoa, buddy," she quietly remarks. "There's no need for us to be enemies here, even after you tried to kill us and stalk us here last night." She simply chuckles and smirks at me. "You know, for an underground cop, you're pretty dense. We may be savages, but we do have a strategy. We either get what we want or take it by force. And what the hell do you want?" She swings her head back and cackles as she replies, "No recruits." After this, I hear Jules' voice behind me. "Put me down, you freak." When I turn around, I see her being held by a tall, brown-haired guy that seems to be pumped up on steroids. I run over to help her, but I feel a bony hand grab my wrists, causing me. "But," he begins to protest meekly. "Now," she screams, and we are carried off to God knows where. After being dragged for 15 minutes, we wind up in a small camp and are thrown roughly to the ground. "Excuse me," she yells to everyone else, "but I think Ilke and I can handle it from here." Everyone groans in disappointment, but obediently walks to their respective tents. The woman turns back to us and smiles. "First off, my name is Inovaria. Welcome to, the rebellion." Jewel cocks her eyebrow in disbelief. "How could a bunch of savages be the rebellion? You can't even reach the outside world down here." The woman stands up, and to both mine and Jewel's shock, she's almost as tall as Steroid Guy. She speaks again as she paces back and forth. "Oh, but you're mistaken, my child. We're all technically rebels down here. We just operate differently than the surface rebellion. We are working to find a way up top, and we keep rebels with us until we find a way. However, if there's any disobedience, we don't quite tolerate it here." I look up and glare at her. "You claim to be a part of the rebellion, but you operate just like the Queen does." Enobaria seems taken aback by this. However, she brushes it off with a shrug and turns to Steroid Guy. They whisper I can hear every word of their conversation. What should we do with them?" "I vote we train them for combat." "Yes, we'll do that with the girl, but the loudmouth one would kill us all the first chance he got." "And we'll train her and keep him under watch at all times." She nods in response and turns around. "I guess we'll show you folks to your beds and get started." Ilke drags me halfway to my tent and hands me off to an older-looking yet noticeably scrawnier guy. I squirm around a little bit before the guy kicks me in the back and throws me into a tent. Instead of turning around to leave, he simply picks up a spear and sits cross-legged in front of my tent. Great. Now I'm stuck here. Several hours of entertaining myself by staring at my wrist pass before my guard looks up at someone. I hear a quiet voice say, "Nishantha, I don't think he's any danger. Just let me give him some food." Nishantha rolls his eyes but stands up and walks away. I then see the boy from earlier, Kazu, crouch down and sit in the tent doorway. "Here, you need to eat," he says, and passes me a bowl of rice. I look up at him and back down at the bowl. I want to believe this is a trap, but this boy isn't like the others. He seems genuine. "Look, if you won't eat it, I will," he states in a bold yet somehow quiet tone. "Thank you, sorry," I respond, and I take the bowl from him. Without a fork or spoon, I just reach in and grab the small grains. "My name is Kazu," he says. "I carry the flag." I then notice he's holding a small gold post with a red embroidered flag. "My name is Matsuda," I reply, smiling at him. He gives a shy smile back, gets up, and walks out. After finishing the bowl of rice, I decide to take a little walk as I pass a huge tent towards the back of camp. I look inside and see Jewel. As soon as I see her get socked in the cheek by that Nishantha guy, I dart in. Whoa, 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 what the hell do you think you're doing? I say as Jewel pulls the extra gun out of her pocket and slides it across the floor to me. I pick it up, run over to where she's laying on the ground and help her up. Her nose is pouring blood and her eye and both cheekbones are bruised. What does it look like? Asks Ilke from the back of the tent. We're training her for combat. Still gives you no right to beat the crap out of her, you big moron. I yell at him as I rip off a small part of my jacket and give it to her to hold her nose. You're about this close to getting yourself killed by yours truly. Go ahead, he says in a smug tone. Just try. My friends outnumber you two by a large margin. Kill me, you both die. I growl a little bit before helping Jewel to her feet. For the record, she should be sparring with someone her size. Ilke lets out a laugh. There's only one person here that's her size, and Kazu can't throw a punch to save his life. Well, I guess I'll change that. I lay awake all night, thinking about teaching Kazu how to fight. Eventually, I just roll over and look at Jewel's cot across the narrow hall. Her back is turned to me, and her shoulders rise and fall in a constant rhythm. Her red hair drapes over her back, and her skinny legs are scrunched up close to her. She looks so peaceful and, well, beautiful. I shake my head and turn over again. I need my sleep in order to be an effective teacher tomorrow. Okay, just a second. I have a couple pages sticking together. Oh no. Stuff. I'm sorry. Yeah. I hope you guys are... Oh, why is this turned on me? Okay. Let's, flip this camera around. Yeah, don't worry. I don't have enough subs for anybody to know who the hell I am. So, yeah, that's lovely. Shit, I lost a page. Breakfast is a bore. Kazu sits at the end of the table with Jewel, and I'm stuck between two savages jabbering about whatever. I poke at the gruel on my plate with my fork, waiting for Anabaria to tell us to start packing things up as we are heading to Prisoner Commons, as she calls it. As if a genie had heard me, we were dismissed. Jewel went off to combat training where she would beat a dummy that I got Ilke to give her for the day. I quickly make my way over to Kazu's seat. Hey, I say, looking down at him. He looks up as he grabs the flag. Hi, Matsuda? Are you busy today? Just packing up my cot and stuff. Great, there's something I need to talk to you about. Wait, you want to teach me how to fight? Kazu asks, shocked at my proposal. Of course, you're essentially being treated as a human flagpole, and I really don't want that idiot Ilke to be right. But I'll get in trouble with Enobaria. Or maybe she'll demote one of the lowlifes and let you do something useful with yours. Now give me that flag, and let's put it where it really belongs. I plant the golden staff in the ground and walk Kazu over to an open area. Now let's start with a simple flip. I stop walking. Now come at me with all you've got. Kazu takes a step and karate chops my arm. Before he can really make contact, I grab his arm and flip him over. The key to this exercise is develop your speed so that you can counter flip me over. Now let's try again. It takes a couple of hours for him to finally get it. When he does, he brings his other arm up, grabs underneath my arm, and whips me like a rag doll. It takes several seconds before I can catch my breath. Great. I cough. Next lesson. After teaching him several more techniques, I challenge him. It may be an unfair matchup, but he seems to be ready. Throughout the battle, I don't hold back one bit. Despite this, I am flipped, roundhouse, socked, thrown around, drop kicked, elbowed, kneed, and whatever else throughout the entire match. After being pinned for a while, I end the match. Kazu looks down at his bruised and cut hands and smiles. When I give him a high five, I hear cheering and whistling from behind me. I turn around to see the entire camp clapping like crazy. Jewel smiles and gives a thumbs up, and several people come over to help us to our feet. However, two of the expressions in the crowd would have me deeply concerned. Ilke and Enobaria, I notice them grin at each other, shake hands, and walk away. Just a second. Okay. Was being a stupid head. I'm gonna try to do the test. So to I'm sorry, this is seriously I am not professional at all. We're at chapter 8 now, so that's pretty cool. That's made it before, so yeah, let's do it. Walk on with the rest of the group in my tent bag at my side. Today we're trekking about 30 miles to the main area we're going out. Hopefully there will be so many I won't notice if I pack up some at least no capacity to it. She's struggling to carry the head, though I refused. At least she's still able. It's become very late in the day when I look ahead and see light and shadows. Looking for just a half hour away. There's huge seats and a podium that form an amphitheater, and a 7,000 square foot open space is filled with other prisoners. All right, everyone, listen up, Enobari yells. I ask that all of you remain polite so you don't get yourselves killed. I'd set up your tents and cots down in Sector C. I need to have a chat with our beloved mistress. And with that, she hobbled away. Explained my plan to Jewel and Kazu after we set everything up. Thankfully, they're all in. Not that I expected anything different. Walk out to the open space while discussing it and lay out a plan. However, our thought process with flowing black hair steps out up onto the podium. Welcome, she yells, and her voice resounds throughout the room. Welcome, tribes, to our annual Strength Festival. Here for our main event, we have two surprising new. We have decided to pitch Kazu and Jewel from Enobaria's tribe against each other in a new battle format. Have fun tonight, and see you all tomorrow. All the savages swung their heads back and let out a howling sound. I'm quite anxious about what this new format is. I roll over the next morning and see that Jewel is nowhere to be found in the sector. She must be meeting with Ilke, I think to myself. Walk out to the amphitheater. Surprisingly, Kazu's already in a preparatory pit, duking it out on a punching bag. Do you remember all the techniques I taught you? Yes, sir. In about an hour, people flood into the seating areas. I give Kazu a little pep talk and make my way up to this area set aside for the masters. Shortly after, Ilke smirking all the while. The black-haired woman stepped. Hello, my fellow prisoner. To today's battle, fight to the death. My stomach drops. I had no idea that they were going to do something like this. Both Kazu and Jewel are in danger. In this corner, we have Kazu. Kazu steps out and practice. And in the other corner, we have Jewel. I'm not prepared for what I see next. Instead of standing up straight and walking out, Jewel limps. A huge swollen area on her leg indicates that she's been injected with something. Her hair is a mess, her clothes are tattered, and she's been shot up with the savage serum. And Jewel takes off at a breakneck pace towards Kazu. As soon as she gets close enough, she dives for him and begins to strangle him. I've had enough. I step up from my seat and run down to the pit. I attempt several times to pull her back, but she just thrusts her elbow back to shake me off. I eventually do the only merciful thing I can think of and knock her out. As I sit in the makeshift hospital area, watching Jewel lie motionless on the cot. Her chest rises and falls in a steady rhythm, and other than an occasional finger twitch or muscle spasm, she doesn't move at all. After I knocked her out, all hell broke loose in the amphitheater. The savages jumped up from their seats and attempted to make their ways down to where I was standing. Fortunately for me, the black-haired woman got to them to calm down and assured them that some minor difficulties occurred. This bought me just enough time to pick Jewel up and get her somewhere safe. As for Kazu, he miraculously only had a scratchy voice after getting the life squeezed out of him. Startled out of my state of thinking when Jewel's eyes pop open and she takes in a large breath, seeming as though she had just come back to life from drowning. Her back arches as she breathes, and if I didn't know any exorcism. I quickly jump up and place my hand on her arm. Don't push yourself, I say firmly. You've gone through a lot. After her spastic breathing calms down, she leans her head back and turns to look at me. What happened? She asks, obviously still short of breath. Though I don't like to say it, she looks like literal crap. The baggage under her eyes is very dark, and the clouded and ghastly expression on her face resembles that of one with a hangover. Okay, he gave you the savage serum. It's a that many of the criminals, or many of the prisoners, shoot themselves up with to, well, they're criminals, so I would say it's their form of, like, heroin or something. It's mostly used as a type of steroid that makes them fight mercilessly during these competitions. Usually only lasts for an hour or shorter, but it blocks all the nerve pathways except those that transfer impulses of muscular coordination and vital processes and ability to carry out fighting moves and, well, pure rage. It will simply not the brutal serum's effects. Like this happened, he would try to pull something underhanded like this. Didn't think he would have done something to this extent, but yet I did. Feel awful for not getting Jewel and Kazu out of this situation sooner. You should get some rest, I tell her as I stand up. With an agreement, lays her head down to sleep. I walk out of the room and into the fighter's pit. I decide then and there that the three of us are leaving as soon as possible. However, my thoughts are interrupted by loud Jesus Christ. I step out of the pit to see Kazu and Ilke yelling at each other in the seating. Kazu's still choked voice yells, "You know what I think? I think you would have rather seen me die than have a girl die." Ilke screams back twice as loud, "Well, no shit, Sherlock. You're an annoying little kid with nobody but a dead sister and a brother who wants to kill you himself. And I have a girl who still has family out there somewhere." And Kazu interrupts with, "Or maybe you couldn't handle the blow that the entire thing would have dealt to your overinflated ego." The young boy continues to hurl accusations with Ilke shaking with rage the entire time. Eventually, Ilke reaches out his hands, grabs Kazu's head, and twists it so his neck snaps. I watch in horror as the boy falls to the ground. His entire body lies as limp as a rag doll, and his neck is turned at a creepily unnatural angle. I sprint to where the small corpse is bent over a bench and lift up his head. "Kazu? Kazu, speak to me!" I scream at him. "Come on, buddy, speak to me! Wake up, damn it!" Down my face, and all I get in response are his open eyes staring at me, slowly clouding over. I hug him to me, lay him down, and run to my cot. I spent the last few days aiding and helping Jewel recover, and she seems to be getting better. Ilke hasn't returned to Sector C, probably because he knows I'll kill him if he does. All the other prisoners have been drinking and partying since the fight. Several tribes have begun to pack up. On the fourth night that I've been holed up, I decide that enough is enough. I grab my gun and go out into the amphitheater area and look around for a while. Eventually, I notice the large figure in the fighter's pit and make my way down there. Standing directly behind him, I lift my arm and aim at his head. "Give me one reason to pull the trigger," I demand, my voice trembling with contempt. "He was being a whiny little ass," he mumbles. Sorry for that voice crack. I kick him in the side and watch him as he falls over. "What kind of excuse is that? You murdered an innocent child with a life ahead of him, for God's sake." He darts up and stares me dead in the eyes. "For one, stop with all the cliche bull. It's not going to work. For another, you have no idea what I've lived through. It's hard to have a sense of poise and rationality when you've been raised by decades ago, so shoot me. I really don't care." I lift my hand and aim. However, something keeps me from firing. I don't know if it's the feeling that Kazu's death won't exactly be justified, or if bigger intuition is at play. Meanwhile, a small bony hand reaches up and grabs my arm. "That's enough, boys," Nobaria croaks. "Nothing will be solved if we start killing each other. Now pack up, the four of us are leaving in the morning." "What do you mean, the four of us?" Ilke asks. "You two, Jewel, and I. I've decided to return Matsuda and Jewel to a camp, and if we have too many people, it will seem like an attack. Now go, and try not to suffocate each other in your sleep." I holster my gun and walk to my cot, a wave of relief washing over me. We won't have to deal with these psychopaths for much longer. Inform Jewel of the news, help her out of bed, and roll up her cot. The grim look on her face, though, makes me think that something has happened. "What's up?" I inquire. She looks up, startled. It's nothing. Just, I'll tell you when you need to know." Response shocks me a little, and makes me think that whatever this is kind of more than a little intuition. Perhaps she saw something while she was drugged, or maybe somebody told her something that disturbed her. But nagging feeling like that. See, so yeah. And honestly, I don't care if nobody's watching right now. Like, nobody, like, I know I only have 4 subs, but please, if you enjoy this, subscribe. Tell me any ships you have in the comments below. trust me, I know this is a really short story because we're already at chapter 10 now. So, yeah. So I promise though that the next big thing that comes along with the story, it's gonna be pretty freaking epic. So, yeah. I really hope that it goes out well. And also, I'm gonna give a shout out after I get through this chapter, and then we will start the second half of the story. So yeah, that's great. I'll let Jewel leave my side for 1 second as we make our way down the extensive tunnel. With one arm around her shoulders to prop her up as we walk along, the nagging feeling I keep getting has me reaching for my holster, nervous about what could possibly happen. All morning, I notice as Jewel looks up at me with a still grim expression. However, every time I look up to ask what's wrong, she jerks her head to face the floor. I'm frustrated by this, and it makes me think that something went wrong as she was recovering, or that maybe she remembers almost killing Kazu. After a while, we stop to eat lunch. Everything is quieter, much more serene with the rest of the tribe gone. The entire time, though, I feel as though I'm being watched. And creepier, I see Anabaria glaring at Jewel as she obliviously eats her beef jerky. Ilke hasn't touched a bit of food and keeps starting his eyes nervously as if expecting something to jump out and eat us. After lunch, we trek for about 5 miles before I notice something odd. As I walk, I hear Enno's voice speak quietly yet clearly. Send them in. What was that? I pipe up. I didn't say anything. She lies through her teeth. She was subtle about it. I swear that I heard her say something. Sorry, I keep turning to portrait mode. I keep my finger on my holsters, but continue along. Within the next mile, I hear a low growling behind us. We all stop to turn around, though it could be a savage. Some of the growl sounds too deep to be anything else than what I expected. Crocodiles. Nobody move, I whisper slowly. Ilke takes a soft step backwards and Jewel cowers into my shoulder. Anabaria, however, remains as expressionless as she's been all morning. Slowly, 3 mutant crocodiles emerge from the darkness. Their teeth are sabered, their spiked tails are sharp, and their blood-red eyes are fixated on us. Without warning, Enno shrieks out, "Run!" And she takes off. 4 of us follow as fast as we can. However, I feel Jewel's fingers unlace from mine and turn around. A crocodile has her by the foot, and the other 2 are jumping on top of her. "Matsuda, help!" she wails as I shoot at the 2 on top of her. I then grab her hand and take off running. After running for a while, we stop in an open space. While we all gather our bearings, I look over at Jewel, who is now teetering back and forth. As I walk over, she collapses. "Jewel!" I yell and run where she's laying. Her neck is a shallow cut from her ear to her collarbone, and her arm has a deep gash all the way down. Her foot has been cut so badly at the ankle that it's a surprise it hasn't been severed yet. Worst of all, as I lift her hand from her side, I see a gaping hole with many bite marks. I look her in the eyes and see a tear rolling down her cheek. She knows she won't make it, but I don't seem to yet. "Don't worry about it," I say. "We can just stitch it up and use a tourniquet. No worries." "Matsuda," she whispers. "No, don't say anything. Everything will be okay." "Matsuda," she gasps out and smiles slowly soon after. I can't feel a thing." A tear rolls down my cheek as I stare at her. "No, Jewel, you can't die on me like this. Just let me get some bandages." "Matsuda, listen to me," she says. "Before Ilke injected me, he told me this was all part of a bigger plan. I don't care what kind of grudge you have against him. You need to trust him." I shake my head at her in disbelief, but she continues. "Promise me you'll find Jen for me." Her voice is broken into short rasps fair at this point. "I promise," I reply, tears flowing down my face. "Good." And after that, she lets out her last breath. I brush my hand across her eyelids to close them and close her mouth. I then pull off my jacket, lift up her body and put it on her, and lay her back down. Staring at her peaceful figure, I let out a last sob as I bend down and kiss her forehead. However, I'm soon overtaken by a feeling of rage, for I know exactly what happened here. Storming over to Enobaria, I yell, "All right, fess up. What were you saying earlier?" "I already told you." "Nothing," she replies crossly. "You told someone to send the crocs in, and I know you did," I hiss. She simply shrugs her shoulders. "What proof do you have? We need to get you back to your camp, anyway." I walk behind her the entire way back, watching her every move. No matter what she says, she was behind all of this somehow. I look in horror at the burned-down structures and lifeless bodies of what used to be a camp. is obvious that other savages have been here. Ilkin and I walk around to examine the carnage. Burnt flesh smells still fresh, he says, so the attack must have been just today. Turn around and see Enno staring at us with an evil grin on her face. What, did you do this too? I ask her. She continues to stare without making a sound. I cautiously step forward and slowly draw my gun. Ilke soon chimes in. Alright, Enno, this isn't funny. What's going on? Suddenly she throws her head back and cackles for a couple of minutes. Ilke, my child, I hope you enjoy your new job. What? He yelps in surprise. Matsuda, prepare to go to hell. As she says this, I feel a sharp needle-like object stab into my thigh. I whip around and punch the wise guy who stabbed me, but I'm already woozy and tumbling to the ground. Watches Enobaria stands up and speaks clearly to a man in a black suit. I want you to get the large one to his lab position in London and the small one on the other side of the glass. After eliminating the girl, he learns something that may give a huge lead on this case. However, I don't want these two to have any contact with each other in any way, shape, or form. Understood, Reeves? Yes, ma'am, Guy responds. I slowly fade in and out of consciousness for a while. I notice as a hole of light opens in the ceiling and watches Ilke and Enno climb a long ladder. The man in the suit lifts me up and brings me up the ladder. My thoughts roll through my head for a while, and one jumps out at me as I black out. Trust Ilke. So, that was the end of the first half of the book. Okay, look, I know this is short, and honestly, I know that I don't have a lot of character development in this. However, I do hope that you all this novella and just enjoy the rest of it, and that you stick around for the rest of it, because this was my first, actual story. And so, yeah, it's gonna suck naturally, but, I don't know, it's kind of opened a gateway for me to write down story ideas, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the story, because now we are on the surface. I slowly fade in and out of consciousness, multiple images rushing to mind all the while. I feel like I shiver when I remember them. And their untimely deaths was unforgivably despicable. Every time I open my eyes, all I see around me is an empty, pure white room. Well, I wouldn't exactly say empty. There's a large sliding door, but it has an unmade lock. There's also a large mirror covering one of the walls. My fadings in and out have been unsettling, to say the least. People in white hazmat suits have been empty so often. I've heard them arguing about things like prep for injection, or he's a vital resource, so he'll lead us to them. But what was that one of the people always watched me? Something about him seems familiar. I don't know if it's his voice. We said we should know. Adrenaline's rush. I flip my head around and notice I'm laying on the table, much like the ones that surgeons have. I want to get up, but the eerie feeling of being watched makes me think that I'll get shot if I do. I still rise, and to my relief, nothing happens. I swing my legs over the side of the table and walk around. I try to push on the door, but it's firmly stuck in its place. I then walk over to the mirror. When I stare directly at it, the feeling grows stronger. I reach my hand out to touch the smooth glass. However, as soon as my hand makes contact, I feel like my hand's been zapped with hot lightning. I yank my hand back, and as I blow on it, I look back up the mirror. Where my hand was, there's a hand imprint-shaped window. I lower my head to look through the window. What I see shocks me. There's a small work area with a hand working with 2 beakers. I nearly jump out of my skin when I hear an announcement over an unseen intercom. Lab workers, please check your test subjects holding units. We have detected an electrical short in one of the windows. The tiny window closes up, leaving me staring at my own reflection. I get an idea. Then quickly I tear off my shirt sleeve and wrap it around my hand, rubbing it rapidly on the mirror wall. My arm begins to overheat, though I don't care. I need to see what's going on. On the other side is a large lab area. I reach out at the clear glass with my bare hand and am not burned. The 4 people that would occasionally come into the room are on the other side. I watch as one turns to 2 others, and they exit. It is only then that I realized what was so peculiar about the fourth one. His size. I pound on the window rapidly, but to my dismay, all he does is walk to the door. Instead of leaving, however, he locks it. And then he walks the other corner and puts a little sliver of tape in the very top of it and makes his way over to the window. But the window that I'm looking through closes back to the mirror. Discouraged, I walk back to the table and sit down. But I hear thuds on the wall behind me and I turn around. With every thud, parts of the mirror short out, revealing the worker's familiarly large figure ramming against the glass. Eventually, the wall has large cracks forming a spider web-like network. In one hard ram, the entire wall collapses, and I jump back. The beefy guy removes his mask and unzips his suit to reveal normal person clothes and an all too sadly memorable face. "Did you miss me?" OK asks in a sarcastic voice. I scoff. "Hardly." "Well, you better learn to like me pretty damn soon, or you're gonna have a bad time." With this, he grabs my wrist and leads me out into the lab. When he opens a cupboard marked with his name, I'm oddly encouraged by the contents. From wall to wall, the cabinet is an array of stolen car keys, machine guns, pistols, and Swiss Army knives. OK pulls out a machine gun and a random keyring. I pick out my weapon of choice and one of the knives. "I told you that I would get you out eventually, didn't I?" he states proudly. "Now isn't the time for this," I say. "Security's probably coming for us as we speak." We walk back into the cell and OK runs his card through the scanner. We end up in a small hallway, trying to escape the inevitable chase frenzy. We round the corner opposite the way of the lab door. Running down the long hallway, I watch as OK pulls the license plate and some zip ties out of the bullet compartment and installs bullets. "Hold on to these," he says, passing the license plate backwards to me. "We'll need these if we don't want to end up in jail." "What?" I yell. He ignores me and we continue to run. We end up at a dead end, but OK takes his now loaded machine gun and shoots at the window. Howling wind and rain blow into the window, and he looks down at the shrubs below. "Whoa, what are you gonna do?" I ask him. Try not to die. Now let's go," he responds as he grabs my arm. He then makes the 3-story jump into the shrubs below. We sprint out into the parking lot, and OK presses the power lock button. When one of the cars flashes, we run towards it. I then realize what the license plate was for. Acting quickly, I pull out the Swiss Army knife and cut off the license plate. I then zip tie the new license plate where the old one was. After I throw the knife and plate into the shrub, I hop into the shotgun seat and we take off. We drive until we get to a downtown area of what seems to be London. Once there, we stop in front of an old townhouse that looks to be in desperate need of new paint and washing. OK pulls a key out of his pocket and puts it into the doorknob. It clicks, and we let ourselves in. The first floor is a simple desk space, kitchen, and sitting area rolled into one. A set of chairs by the door leads to this. A set of stairs by the door leads to the second floor bedrooms. You better pray you like it, or you do not want to go back to the research facility. Rebellion will send eventually, so for now I would focus on settling in first. I nod as OK babbles on and on. Standing there in the entryway, let the reality of what's happening sink into me. I'm part of the rebellion. "Hello, forest demon. Was that you?" Anyway, back to the story. I sit at the desk and stare boredly at my pen. Literally, almost nothing has happened in the 3 weeks I've been holed up here. OK is always off working at the headquarters, wherever that is in the city. As for my life, the job that I never received has been put on hiatus due to unavailable positions. Seriously, forest demon, you need to stop. Due to being stuck at home for 3 weeks straight, I was the one who signed for most of the ration packages. To boycott the buying and selling of government-funded products, the rebellion distributes their own food. I must say it's good, but the entire situation is really starting to annoy the hell out of me. I forage through the fridge for something to snack on when I hear the doorbell ring. I almost jump out of my skin. "One question, Mr. Jane." "And what would that be?" "Did you ever meet my sister?" I jolt backwards at this question. Just looking at her, I feel like I do, but I may be wrong. "Who is your sister?" Never mind, she responds. If you truly knew her, you would know who I'm talking about. And with this, she stands. I rise from my chair to walk over to the fridge again when she speaks up. I will prove that I belong here. She opens the door and exits. The entire conversation has me shaking quite a bit. My gut keeps nagging at me. Do or did know her sister. But despite this, what really bothers me is what she said before she left. I know in my heart that she will prove herself, and there's no saying that how that will end. I adjust my bow tie in the mirror, trying to frown. We received word that we would be required to go to the soldier induction ceremony today, and I almost wanted to become the rebellion's martyr. I never understood the reason why I used to have to travel across 2 continents when I couldn't watch it on TV. Additionally, the only reason we're doing this is to protect our cover, and I'm going to have to pledge my allegiance to Continentium for the first time in what seems like forever. But the main reason I'm bothered by all of this is that they usually have teenagers do gun 14-year-old may do something so. I shake the words from my head, and they'll come true. I walk downstairs to see Ilke packing. She usually, so let me get this. Showed up last week. She might try today. Put up. Wow. Basket and Justice. You really get a foothold. Just do what I do and shrug it off. I shake my head and laugh. It's not that simple. She seemed so serious, and she looks a lot like someone I used to know who also happened to make rash decisions. Dude, you seriously need to chill out. Hey, my intuition was right before. Or it could be wrong. Ilke looks at me with a grin. We need to pack up and go, or we'll be late. Enunciation. I let out a huff and reluctantly pick up the car keys. As I climb into the driver's seat, the dark pit in my stomach only grows. What if something happens that gives away the operation we've been working on? Or, shall I say, that Ilke's been working on? I turn on the transmission and hit the gas pedal, hoping for the best but preparing for the worst. Once at a parking lot near the palace, I already know that we're going to have a hard time. A sea of limos and rental cars takes up a ton of space. Millions upon millions of people have already seen themselves in the grass surrounding the lot. So only people from the nearby area could get into the courtyard. When we get through the front gates, Ilke runs off to go find a nice seat while I look around. As I'm about to step in the courtyard, I notice a flash of red hair go by. I turn my head and see Jennifer wearing a brown uniform go upstairs to the saluters area. Oh shit. I run out to where Ilke is sitting and take my seat. Glancing upward to the balcony, I whisper, "Be ready to move if anything happens. Got it?" Got it. I sink calmly into my chair, hoping that I'm simply worrying again. Queen steps up onto her podium and begins her trite hour-long speech. Eventually, she introduces the saluters, with Jen stepping out in the very last balcony. She makes her way down the line of soldiers with their respective saluter firing into the air after being presented their license. The hell that breaks loose with the final soldier. The queen says the name of the young soldier, hands him a certificate wrapped with golden lace. She brings her hand up to salute, the signal for firing into the air. But when I look up to the balcony, I see the gun flip downwards in an instant, and close my eyes as I hear the loud shot ring out. The queen's hand trembles, and her pale purple gown slowly grows redder on the bodice. The color drains from her face, and she collapses to the floor. This girl just assassinated the queen. I yank Ilke out of his chair, and... Okay, just a second. Okay, stuff is getting in the way, I'm sorry. Okay, that's just a shadow. Never mind. I watch as Jen flies out the door at the very end of the hall, her red hair streaking behind her. Ilke and I dart out the door and follow her all the way down to the parking lot. She hops into a yellow Camaro and takes off. As I start the car, I pull out onto the main road and begin a high-speed chase. We continue the chase for half an hour through downtown, eventually ending when she swerves into an alley. I stop the car and jump out, walking to the exploded airbag. I dig her out and begin to scream, "What the hell is wrong with you? If you think that's proving yourself, and make sure of it that you never get a spot in the rebellion." She looks up and begins to yell, "Well, at least I did something. What have you done to move things along?" "Nothing." "Jack?" "Shit." The rebellion needs my work ethic. What the rebellion needs is smarter management. That's something you can't provide. Now get in the car, you'll stay in the spare room until tomorrow, and then we're taking you home. I wake up with the sun shining on my face. Everything that happens seems so fake, but I know that I need to get up and get Jen home. I don't want to disturb everything though. The quiet pedestrian noise, the partridges in the trees, Ilke screaming his lungs out, and I dart up from my bed and quickly pull on my clothes. The screams... Ow, second splinter. Ow. The screams from downstairs grow more blood-curdling as I charge down to the living room. The front door is wide open, the extra pistol is gone from the wall, and Ilke is lying on the floor in a pool of his own blood, clutching his hand. I get down on the floor and examine what happened. A single bullet is lodged in his palm, with the tip sticking out the other side. Judging by the fact that shriveled line bits on the floor, it must have been a blind distance shot. Jen is nowhere to be found in all of this, meaning that she must have run away. I grab the other pistol and run out the door. As the wounded, she takes off running down the cobblestone sidewalk. I run, trying to keep her from getting too far ahead. She darts into a crowd of foot traffic, leaving me to wrestle my way through. After emerging from the crowd, I chase Jen down several winding alleyways until we reach a dead end. She turns around, a look of utter terror plastered across her face. She tries to say something, but I cut her off. Do I even need to ask? She shakes her head and speaks. They would come looking for me anyway, so I figured that if you wouldn't let me into the rebellion, I'd drag you down with me, too. I facepalm and begin to yell. You know what? I don't care what work ethic you think you have. There's no way you would last a day. I've learned military tactics. I would last a day. Who gives a rat's ass if you've learned military tactics? Have you ever had a fight when someone's actual life was on the line? Where a twist of fate could happen at any wrong step? Because I have, and it works. She stares at me right in the eyes. With a cold and calculating expression, she lets out a small scoff and simply holds a knife to my throat and a gun to her own. Let me join, or we both die. I must say I'm highly startled by her response. She's trying to blackmail me, and there's no other way out of it. I promise not to do. She smiles. Word? Dinner is awkwardly. I make the bullet from Ilke's hand, so he has trouble lifting his fork. She glances around nervously, and I eventually say, screw this, and walk up to my room. Trying to fall asleep that night, I just begin to cry at this hellhole that my life has become. My stupid alarm clock next morning, causing me to jump about 5 feet into the air. Though it's only 6 in the morning, I hear an argument and some hurried footsteps. I leap over to my dresser, hastily pull on some clothes, and run downstairs. Ilke is tightening a tie while rummaging through the fridge for a lunchbox. Meanwhile, Jen is shoving 500,000 folders and his lunchbox into her backpack. I did not take it, she yells laughingly, shifting her position to cover the pocket, slowly slipping up. Do I look like a dolt to you? Ilke asks. She snickers. Well, kind of. Jen, I say firmly, there are croissants in the cupboard. I ask that you take a couple and give Ilke his lunch bag. She huffs and rolls her eyes in response, but still unzips her bag to give it back. I swear to goodness, I swear to God, most days I'm living with children. Jen steps toward the door to leave, but Ilke stops in front of me. I'm sorry. I am tired. I am stuttering, and we are at almost an hour now, but we are at chapter 15, so we are doing good. So yeah, in case you couldn't tell, I haven't been telling which chapter is which, but also I can assure you that things get so good. And like I said before, you mention any ships in the comment section below, and yeah, so, and I promise that my next story thing will be a little more regular, and maybe not even a story thing. We'll see what happens. Maybe a little more epic than that. Look, Matsuda, he started her. What do you want? I asked bluntly. I have an breakfast day. I was wondering if you could pick Jen up from school. I can feel my jaw drop open and my eyes roll back into my head. Did he seriously? He's got to be kidding me. There's no way he can pull off asking that like we're some married couple or whatever. All I can squeak out is, You're kidding. Dude, I'll take her in, but you'll have to go get her and take her to the choir concert. It's not much. That's it. I'm done. Not dealing with this shit. There's no possible way. He just wanted me to chauffeur. Despite this, I cave. Fine. I thought. Next time, your answer will be no. Got that? He nods and walks out the door. I sit in the school's driveway listening to the seconds tick by on my watch. Probably 8,000 other teenagers have walked to their assorted cars, but no signs of Jen. Several gossipy little cliques form by the front doors. Eventually, Jen does emerge from the school. I hit the car horn, causing her to turn my way. She walks over, but is stopped by 3 girls. I watch as they exchange some words. I don't truly take notice until I see Jen stalk a brunette girl in her perfect teeth. I jump out of the car, dashing to where Jen is standing, and the brunette is laying on the ground. With her friends pulling out tissues to stop the bleeding. Jen raises her foot to kick the girl in the gut, but I pull her back. I thought I told you not to do anything stupid, I hiss. Now go to the car. But go to the car. She grabs her bag and walks sullenly to the car. One of the friends, a redhead with a spiky haircut and heavy makeup, yells, "Good thing you had your boyfriend here, you little..." I whip around and cut her off. I don't care if it's bad manners to hit a girl. Call me your boyfriend one more time, and you'll be joining your little friend on the ground there. I climb in through the driver's side door and book it out of there. After a while of sitting in some traffic, I begin to speak. You promise not to do anything stupid. It's not my fault that those 3 are... I really don't... You're going one of these days if you don't think before you act. I look down and she isn't even listening. She has an ink pen out and is drawing a wave pattern up and down her arms. She must have been doing that the entire ride because her entire right arm is now covered. However, it isn't this that bothers me. It's the fact that I think I finally know who she really is. I pack up a to-go dinner, waiting for Jen to finish changing into her choir uniform. It's taken the last half hour to put on a shirt and pants, and it's starting to bother me. I walk upstairs and call out for her. I run to her room. She's sitting in her desk chair by an easel, curled up into a fetal position. I run over and turn to her, but the easel catches my eye and confirms my suspicions. A beach scene has been painted. 2 red-headed figures carry surfboards out to a series of towering waves. In the upper left corner of the scene is a photo. Jen is standing in front of a tree, hands clasped with a taller girl that looks almost exactly like her. It kills me to see Jules' smiling face again. I'm sorry, I whisper. I guess I did know her. Don't worry, she mumbles sorrowfully. Freak's rebel sister always seemed to be what set her apart, other than the fact that she was so popular. Nervous as to what she might do, I squeak out, I couldn't save her. She looks up and begins to rise. I had better wash my eyes, Rockwell. No. She jerks her head around as if a ghost had just spoken to her. What do you mean? She asks. I'll get in trouble if I don't. I don't really care. I want you to go out there, show them what you're made of. I'll deal with Rockwell if I have to. Grinning, she turns around and runs out into the hallway. I sit on the couch in the living room, lazily flicking through the TV channels. In the past week, it's become clearer and clearer to me that Jen and I are able to tolerate each other just a little bit. Ever since the concert, the heavy atmosphere has cleared up. There haven't been any expulsion phone calls, so that's always nice. Still haven't been given a job, which makes me think they're just going to make me be a supportive civilian. Ew. I jump out of my state of thinking to see Ilke barge through the door. Jen follows shortly behind him, carrying a rifle case. Why the hell do you have a rifle for school? I ask loudly. Because I need to teach you how to play paintball so my military tactics group has a chaperone, she responds, smirking all the while. Whoa, I say. Slow down. You're teaching me to do what? Just go out to the backyard and I'll explain everything. I hesitate at first, but reluctantly pull on my shoes anyway. I make my way to the side door and walk to our underwhelming grass patch called a yard. In a matter of minutes of me sitting down under a tree, she comes out carrying a large case and wearing an ungodly amount of padding. She walks over to where I'm seated and crosses her arms. Well, for military tactics, we're going to be having a paintball turf war this Saturday. Every group has a chaperone except for mine. I figure that you might prefer to do this instead of sitting around and doing nothing. You in? I let the idea roll through my head for a bit. Paintball war. Could be quite interesting. I won't be used to the size of the guns, but I could at least try. I know that Ilke probably won't do it because he's a little... Never mind. Sure, I respond. She hands me the case and a pile of padded clothes. Then you'll need some practice with moving around. I take the contents of her outstretched arms. Unlocking the case, the view of this size daunts me greatly. When I pick it up, it feels awkward in my arms compared to my military pistols. You may want to start with an anim. Yeah, I know. Back away from the tree and take aim at a beetle. When I fire, the rifle bucks backward and pops me in the nose. From clutching my face in massive agony, the beetle is crawling away from its original spot, and a red blob of paint sits about half a foot away from it. Jen simply laughs. That, my fellow, is why we wear padding, and it seems as if you'll need lots of it. After an hour or so, I finally seem to be getting the hang of firing this stupid thing. Jen nods in approval as I fire and take out at least 30 swarms of weevils on the branches. All right, she says, you can practice on an object. And how exactly do I do that? I ask. She thinks for a minute and snaps her fingers, grabs a pass. About 5 minutes later, I hear her yell. Ilke jumps out of sizes too small vest, the paintball gun, aim at his back, and fire. He falls on his face and wriggles as if he had been hit by a taser. I start at about 9 p.m. that Saturday. Though they won't sound the alarm until every registered person is present, if I move without stealth, they'll know where to target. I jog to the best of my ability through dark alleys with my gun case on my shoulder. Finally, I see a large group of black-wearing, nose-pierced teenagers with Jen standing in front of them. What do we do now? I ask her. We wait. We spend the next half hour getting acquainted with the team. A crackling noise echoes through the night air. Welcome, a professional but vaguely familiar voice says. Welcome to the 20th annual Teens Turf War. This is Principal Grames, the chaperone for Team Superstars. You have all had the rules explained, but I shall explain them again so that we don't have any cheaters on our hands. The objective is to either be the last team standing or make it until 3 a.m. If your chaperone is drowned, or if your chaperone is downed, your entire team is out. Yeah, I can't talk. When you are out, your uniform will become dead weight and pull you downwards. Sole winners will receive 100 extra credit points, 2 winners will receive 50 each, and so on, with a total of 100 points being spread around. All civilians have been warned, so they'll have left their city with their valuables. Therefore, you may go anywhere. All the best of luck. After this last statement, a foghorn blows. For snipers, spies, and a frontal assault squad. I suggest that Jen be in frontal assault and the rest of you divide up based on strengths and weaknesses. After this, we'll decide which... After tracking among ourselves, they channel. I send the spies off to talkies to find each sniper with the advantage points. Assault and spite here give echoes from... How about we start with some cosplayers? It's currently edging on 1 in the morning. Taken out, according to Jen, everyone else in the choir, all the girly girls, the brainiacs, the art class, the History's Fun Club, whatever that is, the student council, the otakus, the cosplayers, the flirts, and the sceners. Sleeves, jocks, vegans, populars, us, and the gamers, who we have coerced into siding with us. Figured out that the jocks and vegans were teaming up, and that the populars weren't too far away, allowing us to devise a plan. We stationed several snipers around the JV hideout, and send the gamers, our spies, and half of the frontal assault in. Jen and I will then leave the rest of FA to the populars. We watch from the dark alleys as the other leader announces, surrender at once, and we will take you down as painlessly as possible. If not, we will come in. Sniper squad launches about 50 rounds of paint through the top floor windows. After these rounds are used up, the miniature army charges into the building. I wave at my group to follow me. Despite sneaking almost silently, the populars run outside and take us head on. Jen, I yell, what is it? Stay out here and hold them off. I'm going after the leader. Okay, after hearing a response, I sneak down a side street and into the hideout. As I enter, all I can smell is jewelry polish and BO. The wall of scent almost knocks me over. This isn't the disturbing part, however. It's the fact that I hear deranged, demonic giggles coming from all around me. Despite this being paintballs only, I'm starting to feel like my life's being threatened. Just a second. Stepping further into the darkness, I cover the sensor on my uniform with my gun. Well, if it isn't my old pal Matsuda, says the principal's voice, but it doesn't sound as professional as before. It sounds notorious and menacing. It almost sounds savage. I fearfully turn my head in to the direction of the voice. A tall, skinny figure lets out an all too familiar cackle and looks me dead in the eyes. Did you miss me? Anobaria's scratchy voice asks. I wouldn't blame you for not missing me, she says with a sadistic, conniving giggle. I mean, I have no conscience, but I would rather forget everything I saw down there. She's pacing around me now, her paintball gun locked and loaded. Must have been horrific to watch that little boy Kazu, was that his name? Fall so lifelessly to the ground, and watching Jewel get torn to bits. I snap. In one fluid motion, I kick the rifle from Anobaria's hands, run at her, and shove her into the wall, pinning her with my paintball gun. Say that one more time. Say it. You keep repeating what a shame it was that Jewel died when you're the reason she's dead. I don't know who the hell you are. Savage, spy, civilian. But you need to leave me and leave the people around me alone. Got it? She smiles wickedly once again. I can't leave you alone, you stupid child. I'm supposed to kill your kind, don't you see? As soon as I hear the first trace of metal moving against the leather sheath, I pull back, run across the room, and duck behind a desk. Once I'm curled up in a ball in the desk's corner, a whizzing sound comes from the larger part of the room. One after another, a ray of knife blades pops through the wood in front of my face. Feeling the adrenaline pumping through my heart at a wild rate, I emerge from the hiding place and turn off the safety on my paintball gun and fire rapidly into the darkness. I watch as her tall figure crumbles to the floor. Outside, I hear a sea of vibrations and a large number of teens falling to the ground. I took out their leader, I think. We won the competition. Attention! I hear Anabaria's voice croak out behind me. I swiftly whip my head around. Congratulations to Team Legion, their victory in this year's battle. Your military tactics teacher will collect your gear Monday in class. I ask that you all return home now and get some rest. Thank you. After this, she slowly rises from her crumpled up position. I draw my pistol, and square at her chest. Looking her dead in the eyes, I ask, care to do it for real this time? She pulls out her own gun and responds, Please, sir, let me do the honors. Despite this, instead of raising the gun, she sprints out the back door. I fire blindly to no avail. When I run out the back door after her, she's gone. I get down on my knees. This simply can't happen. Can't be happening. She knows where we are now. None of us are safe anymore. Not me, not Ilke, not Jen. I sit at home with the machine gun across my chest. The battle ended an hour ago, but Jen isn't back yet. I'm paranoid that Anabari is going to find out who she is, follow her home, or... I shake the foreboding thoughts from my head. It's way too early to be worrying like this. I just need to trust that Jen and her team will return to their homes as quickly as possible. It's dark, they shouldn't be out, and jump out of my worry when the front door flies open and in pours the team. Jen and a crowd of girls jabbing away, and the guys are carrying packs of... I don't know, it looks like beer, but I'm really too tired to really care at this point. Hey, Matsuda, Jen yells. We'll be in the backyard if you need us. I listen for the next hour as the rowdy herd parties out in the yard. It sounds so happy, so young, so vulnerable to an attack. And decide something I feel that I should have decided a long time ago. From now on, I'm keeping my distance from Jen. No matter what. She doesn't deserve to have what happened to her sister happen to her. Today is just another normal day. Since the paintball war, everything has inherently been much more boring. Ilke is still jetting off to stupid headquarters every day, while they haven't given me a single thing to do in the 6 months I've been here. Hell, I'll clean for them if it means they'll let me out of the house. Meanwhile, Jen turned 15 in the same time frame. Wanted to wish her a happy birthday, but knowing me, if I did something as thoughtful and caring as that, a grenade would fly through the window. Upstairs, I can hear Jen laughing and talking with her friends. Thank God she's oblivious to all that's happening. If she would do anything now, she would probably get every civilian in London killed by next Tuesday. Just best to stay away, let Ilke take care of her, and keep her out of the loop. Speaking of okay, he's staring oddly out the window, as if expecting someone to jump out of the bushes or pull up to the front door. No explanation as to why he's been doing so for half an hour, but it's beginning to creep me out. My paranoia tells me he's still in cahoots with Anabaria, but I know that it can't be true. Nothing he's done in the past 6 months has been truly suspicious. Walk into the kitchen and begin making a sandwich to get my mind off of everything. I've kept Jules' promise to trust okay, but today something feels off. It's like that feeling where you know something bad may happen, but you can't quite place your finger on it. Today it's centered around him. In half an hour I hear the doorbell ring and nearly jump out of my skin. I'm still not used to having any visitor, good or bad. Ilke seems excited and leaves a spot at the window to answer the door. It seems to be safe, so I follow. A man in a white lab coat holding a briefcase is on the other side. Hello, he says from the Ilke. My name is Dr. Greer. I'm from the local Rebellion Fund Hospital. Why, hello, sir. I'm Ilke Grames, and I presume you're here to speak with me and Jen about the new treatment. Yes, sir. Shall we begin our conversation upstairs? As they embark up the stairs to get Jen, I grab Ilke's shirt. They will discuss this new treatment, bucko. You will stay here. I throw him down on the couch as Jen's friends come downstairs, grab their bags, and go. Who's this Dr. Greer? I grill Ilke. He simply smirks. Didn't you hear him the first time? He's one of the Rebellion's doctors. Then what treatment was he talking about? Just something to make life easier after the war. I slap him and his cheeks flush a bright red. I need the details right now, you big idiot. Ilke rolls his eyes, but begins to explain. Matsuda, you need to realize this. War is hell. You should know this better than anyone. Many people want to forget the horrors they've seen in the past couple of years. Therefore, the rebellion's planning to have all civilians everywhere undergo a procedure that robs them of these awful memories. After the civilians, we're next. Dr. Greer is here to run tests and find out who her family is, and no, I yell, we are not going to be taking anyone's memories. Sorry, this deep voice is killing me, guys. But we're at chapter 19, so yeah, that's good. No, Ao, you're not going to be taking anyone's memories. These morons need to realize that without the memory of war, there's nothing to keep us from doing all this over and over and over again. As for Jen, she's probably had some of her best memories in the past year or so, and they're just going to take that away from her? For one, Matsuda, this isn't my decision, and for another, since when do you care? You've essentially abandoned her for the past 3 months. I've been ignoring her to keep her safe. If this has anything to do with her safety, I need to be involved, and I say that this won't happen. End of story. As I say this, Dr. Greer comes back downstairs and exits. Noticing us, I run upstairs to Jen's room and see her sitting on her bed, looking at a sheet of paper. I have this weird doctor's appointment on Friday, she says. You said that everything would change very soon. I sigh and sit down in the chair. Look, Jen, I don't care what Ilke or Dr. Greer said to you. They're going to take your memory. Friday, I don't want Ilke taking you to that hospital. I will take you. I've seen what they're doing before. A different version of it happened to your sister, and she went absolutely crazy. Jen is startled by all I tell her. No matter what else happens at that appointment, she will not have that procedure done. We have 2 chapters left, guys. 20 in the epilogue. This is awesome. I'm finally getting through all of this. This is what I started doing YouTube to do. And yeah, like I keep saying throughout it, I will in fact be doing something else for the next story. It's going to be quite a big project, but I will be doing AMVs in the meantime. So yeah, keep an eye out for that, and I will probably just do like word vomit stories. So yeah, I'm pretty excited. Oh yeah, and I forgot to say this at the halfway mark. I am also part of the collab channel CapitalKrazie with Gene Bean and Alli Anime and AwkwardBoredom. So yeah, check that out too. It's really funny. Well, once videos get uploaded to it. So yeah, we have 2 chapters left, and we'll be good to go. Just a second, I had a branch fall into my manuscripts. Thank you. Jen and I sit in the hospital waiting area, anxiously anticipating our signal to leave. First half of this stupid appointment went without trouble, but they are currently testing Jen's blood sample to check for needed injections. I swear to God and everybody, if they give Jen that treatment, they're all going to die. She she believes in everything she believes in, joining the rebellion, killing the queen, winning the paintball war, everything. Jen fidgets nervously in her seat. Matsuda, she asks. What is it? What made my sister go crazy? I let out a heavy breath. She was given the savage serum. It briefly wipes your memory and strips you of your humanity. The reason that you can't have this procedure done is that it sounds like at the very core of this injection, there's a small bit of that serum. I don't want you to deal with what your sister went through. After I say this, the lab door swings open and out steps the doctor. Miss Jennifer Malone? She asks. Jen nods. That's me. You tested negative for a needed vaccine. You'll have to come with me. What vaccine? I ask cautiously. Are you getting it, sir? Doctor asks snidely. No. Then it shouldn't concern you. I clear my throat. Ma'am, it should concern me because I'm her legal guardian. Now please tell me what the vaccine is. The doctor stares me down for a very uncomfortable moment before poking her head back into the lab to say something. Afterwards, two taller guys step out and grab Jen. Taken by surprise, they hesitate a little before jumping up and punching one in the stomach. He drops her, allowing me to grab her arm and start running. Despite this, the other one gets hold of her and runs into the lab. As soon as I turn around, the door slams shut. I panic, and there she's at the mercy of the syringe. Acting quickly, I continually ram my shoulder and pound my fists on the door. When I am left without success, I lift up one of the chairs and pound repeatedly on the lab window, which is now covered. I need to do something, anything to get it in there. I have eventually shattered the window. Shards of glass fly into the lab, and half of the personnel stands up to turn and look at me. To my dismay, Jen is already laying on a hospital bed with an IV in her arm. I'm too late. Ilkay is standing next to her bed, looking at me grimly, and I have no idea how he got in there. There are absolutely no words to describe how pissed off I am. In a burst of rage, I jump over the windowsill, walk over to where he's standing, and sock him in his perfect smile. I then grab his throat and slam him down onto the floor. You evil, lying jerk, I hiss, filled with absolute hysteria. You say you want to help. You always say you want to help. How the hell can you be trusted anymore? You killed Kazu. You almost killed Jewel. You stripped Jen of her identity. I don't care if I squeeze so hard I kill you. You need to die. I ignore the hospital staff trying to pull me off of him. My deranged thirst for blood is making it way too much fun to watch his eyes bulge and his face turn red. However, just as I'm about to tighten my grip a little more, I feel a needle stab my thigh, and I black out. I jolt awake after a while. I try to sit up, but my muscles are sore, as the adrenaline has undoubtedly worn off by now. I find myself lying in a dark, gray bricked room. The only door has an electronic lock, and the only light comes from a lone, dangling light bulb. I'm no longer wearing my usual clothes, but instead an infantry uniform. I'm snapped out of observation mode when the door opens. In walk two other people in infantry uniforms, carrying rifles with bayonets. Their faces are covered by recon masks. Jing, follow us, one says. Who are you? I ask stubbornly. Soldier, the other one yells. Not until I find out what's answering, they walk over and lift me up under the armpits. I'm painfully carried down long, winding hallways and finally released on a bus filled with other soldiers. One of the carriers hands me a helmet and a rifle, and the other closes the bus door. Wherever we're going, it's a crowded ride. I try asking what's going on, but all I get are glares. I eventually just decide to shut up, put on my helmet, and ready my gun. After a while, the bus stops. One of my two carriers is directing people outside into a thick mass of hazy yellow dust. About halfway through, however, a blast takes out the other half of the bus. The half that I'm on ready to fire, but what's left of the bus tips over and rolls. I throw my gun to the side so as not to get skewered by my bayonet and grip the seat for dear life. We roll pop probably 30 times before stopping. I look around at everyone else. Some are on the verge of death and have their bayonets jabbed through their heads and their stomachs. Others are stumbling away as if drunk. I try to move my arms and push myself up, but my muscles are too sore. I cry out in agony as shots ring out from above and hit my thighs. I simply lie there, sobbing. This is it. I'm too weak to crawl. Everyone around me is dead. I've lost the ones I care about. And if I live, there's nothing for me anymore. I roll onto my side and accept my fate. And after an hour of lying with my leg only slowly oozing blood, I hazily see a boot step next to my face. then feel myself being lifted and carried away. Fight to stay awake, but exhaustion consumes me, and I black out again. All I see is a hazy white room, similar to the one I woke up in what seems like years ago, but was not that long, actually. All I hear are voices in the occasionally doctors rush in front of me and smile at me, but they're busy. What seems like millions of IVs are just, my left leg is made of gauze and my arms are raised in slings. Suddenly a young feels at me and says, "Don't worry, you'll be rich in the morning, you'll want to see." And injects box in a panic. I kick with my good luck, but it is so numb that it feels like I'm doing absolutely nothing. I scream, but my voice doesn't come out. I feel trapped. Suddenly a series of faces pops into my head. First is of a young boy. His skin is pale, his hair is short and black. He seems to be about 14. Next face is of a girl. She also seems around that age, with her red hair pulled back into a rocker girl ponytail, a black beanie, and fair skin and greenish hazel eyes. Finally, another girl's face shows up. She seems to be only a few years younger than I am, and she's beautiful. And it feels like love at first sight. She has flowing red hair, piercing green eyes, and freckles. And I don't think I recognize any of them. I wake up at about 7 a.m. It's a beautiful sun. Another peaceful day, like every other day so far. About a year ago, we all woke up with a new government. They even put in a new holiday, which just so happens to be today. I jump out of bed and hobble to the stairs. While in hiding, I had some freak accident and broke both my arms and got some glass driven into my leg. My arms have healed, but my leg still gives me problems a year later. As I walk downstairs conversing, I pick up the pace and walk out into the grandmother is sitting at the table, sipping tea in her black Sunday dress. Talking with her is a black halter and a skirt, and sitting next to her is a 16 black gown with fingerless arm warmer. They both have bright red hair. There's my grandmother giggles. Could join us for some coffee? I smile. No, but thanks. I was planning on getting a mocktail from the food vendors later. Suit yourself, dear. Oh, and by the way, Matsuda, there are a couple of people I would like you to meet. This is Charlene Malone, she gestures to the woman, and we shake hands. And her daughter, Jennifer. I shake hands with the girl. Dear, she speaks up again. Remembrance Day officially begins in a couple of hours. You should probably go get ready. There's already a tuxedo hanging in the bathroom, along with a flag and a rose for your tributes. All right, I say. I turn around, take a quick shower and change, leaving the pestersome jacket on the rack. Adjusting my tie, I examine the two tributes. The new holiday that the government proposed was Remembrance Day, where we go and offer tributes to the memories of one boy and one girl, be it soldier or civilian, who died in the war. I had to unearth every record of every soldier and prisoner, but now they have an extensive graveyard where they excavated tunnels. Sure, we now have sidewalks and bridges instead of streets, but it's not like people really care about cars anymore. As for my tributes, I have a simple small pink rose from the garden and a small model of the flag on the local courthouse. I grab the tributes and run downstairs, only to be met by Charlene. Matsuda, right? Yes, ma'am. The grandmother and I have some business to attend to before going down to the graves. So I was hoping you could watch Jen for me. She just needs to go get her tributes from market stalls and you can go. Please? Of course, I'd be happy to. Thank you. She turns and walks back to the table. Jen is already standing by the door, holding a fistful of cash. I'm ready to go, she says nonchalantly, and so we leave. In the nearby field, many vendors have already set up. In the time it takes for me to get a mocktail and shish kebab, Jen has already returned. In her left hand, she has a package of spinning tops, and in her right, a painting. As we're walking, I ask, "What's that painting of?" "I got it for free from our art class's stall. I did it myself. It's a painting of when my sister and I went surfing before the war." "Well, it looks very nice." "Thank you." We eventually arrive at the staircase that leads down into the grave tunnel. Once inside, we are greeted by a tall, burly guy of about my age. I think his name is Ilke, but I'm not quite sure. We then spend a while walking up and down the dismal rows of memories. One grave in particular catches my eye. I kneel down and read it. Kazukima, age 14, prisoner, helped spread our message by bearing our flag. I shake my head at the line with his age. He was too young to die. All of them were, but him especially. Suddenly, a mysterious wave of missing him washes over me. I pull out the flag, plant it in front of the tombstone, and say, let's put that where it really belongs. I stand up and walk away. Jen, where are you? I call, noticing that we somehow got separated. I snap to attention when I see her several stones over, sobbing on her hands and knees. I then run over to her. Jen, what's wrong? I ask, deeply worried. My sister, she gasps out, slowly placing a painting on the stone. I look at the stone, and with everything happening in this moment, it stabs me in the gut. Jewel Malone, age 20, prisoner, became a martyr and died for our cause. Jen simply stands up and walks to a random grave to find a boy to offer to. I stay where I'm at, ready to cry myself. Everything that happened must have been awful. This must be why we created this holiday, so that we can get closure, remember not to repeat our mistakes. I drop my rose on Jewel's grave, stand up, and walk away. And that was the rest of Wolf of the Tunnel. Finally, I know I have not posted in a long time, but I really hope that you just enjoyed this giant cluster frick of chapters. And yeah, so that was the end of that. I hope you enjoyed it. Like I said, I have a big project coming up. Subscribe to CapitalKrazie. Subscribe to me if you enjoyed this. And yeah, so I really hope that everybody enjoys this. Oh yeah, and just subscribe to the other CapitalKrazie girls. I'll put their names in the description. I don't know if I can do links with the device I'm recording on, which, in case you couldn't tell, it's a phone, but shh. But yeah, expect more AMVs to come out soon. And as always, I'll see you on the flip side. Bye-bye. Okay, how do I...